The courtroom was larger than a city, floating in space near the neutral zone. Thousands of alien species sat in high seats, staring down at the single human in chains. His name was Sergeant Rourke, a Marine from Earth and the only human in the room. He stood straight, wearing a torn uniform, his face calm, but his eyes watching everything. The Grand Chancellor of the Galactic Council raised his long, crystal hand. "Sergeant Rourke," he said, "you are charged with using forbidden weapons, breaking the rules of war, and disrespecting this council." The aliens laughed, some softly, some loudly. A tiny frog-like alien pointed and whispered, "Humans don't follow rules, they only destroy." Rourke didn't speak. He didn't even move. Behind him, outside the glass dome of the courtroom, floated a strange black ship. It had no lights, no signals, no windows. Yet every alien ship in orbit had already backed away from it. "This hearing will decide your punishment," said the Chancellor, his voice cold. A lizard-like warrior stood up, wearing golden armor. "We gave humans a chance to join the Galactic Alliance," he hissed, "and they responded with violence." Another alien with silver skin and glowing eyes nodded. "Your ship," he said, "the one called the Explicable, is a threat to us all." Still, Rourke said nothing. He only looked at the screen in front of him, showing the courtroom's live broadcast. The words at the bottom read, "Human Marine stands trial last chance for peace." An alien judge with 6 arms banged his staff. "Why did your ship destroy the fleet of Lord Zarkal?" he asked. "They were retreating." Rourke finally spoke, his voice quiet but clear. "They broke the ceasefire," he said. "My ship explained why that was a mistake." The room went silent for a moment, then erupted in angry voices. "Explained?" A bird-like diplomat screeched. "You mean annihilated?" The Chancellor raised his hand again, and the room calmed. "You humans act like you are above our laws," he said. "But this is our galaxy, our order, our rules." Rourke smiled. A little behind him, the dark ship's surface shimmered. As if it had heard the insult, it remained silent, but a soft hum echoed across the court's walls. The Chancellor leaned forward. "You will answer for your crimes, human," he said. "Your ship will be dismantled, and Earth will be banned from all trade routes." Rourke raised his hand slowly, and the courtroom guards aimed their weapons, but he only pointed at the dark ship in space. "No," he said, "you still don't understand." The screen on the wall suddenly changed. It showed the battle where Lord Zarkal's fleet had been wiped out. The video played silently massive alien ships firing on a human outpost, breaking the treaty. Then one beam of light from the Explicable ship sliced through space, and the alien fleet vanished. Gasps filled the courtroom. Even the warriors in gold armor stepped back. That weapon, whatever it was, left no trace. No explosion, just silence. "My ship is not a weapon," Rourke said. "It's a warning." The Chancellor's eyes widened. "A warning?" he asked. "To who?" "To those who think rules are for the weak," Rourke replied. "To those who laugh when we ask for peace." The frog-like alien who laughed before now trembled. He looked at the ship outside, and his voice shook. "What does the ship want now?" he asked. Rourke looked at the stars, then at the council. "It wants respect," he said. "And if it doesn't get it, it will explain again." Suddenly, the dark ship lit up for the first time. A single red glow pulsed from its front like a blinking eye. Every ship in orbit received the same message. Judgment is not our desire, but we are fully equipped to deliver it. The courtroom was quiet now. No more laughter, no more mocking, only fear and silence, and the growing feeling that the galaxy had misjudged humanity once again. As the hum of the ship grew louder, one thing became clear. This was no trial. It was a lesson, and the Explicable was just getting started. They had studied every ship design in the galaxy. Thousands of blueprints, millions of scans, and billions of battle records. But nothing, absolutely nothing, matched the one floating behind Sergeant Rourke. They called it the Explicable, but no one could explain it when it first appeared. The Galactic Navy thought it was a ghost ship. It had no registration, no transponder, no radio signal. It moved like a shadow and ignored every scan they threw at it. The Council called it a bluff, a fake, a scare tactic, until it erased a battleship without using a single missile. Now it floated quietly outside the courtroom's glass dome, cold, black, smooth as obsidian, with no visible weapons or engines. And still, it terrified the most powerful fleet commanders in the galaxy. Inside the courtroom, General Kaner of the Iron-Scaled Empire stood. He was 12 feet tall, armored in blood-red metal. He growled as he looked at Rourke, his voice like breaking bones. "That ship breaks every known law of engineering," he said. "It shouldn't fly." Rourke stayed calm, folding his arms behind his back. "It doesn't fly," he said quietly. "It moves." The room went quiet again, the Council whispering among themselves. An alien scientist, thin and covered in floating data screens, stepped forward. "I scanned its hull," she said. "There is no metal we can identify, no engine signature, and no energy readings." The Chancellor frowned. "Then how does it operate?" he asked. Rourke looked toward the stars through the glass dome. "It's not powered by fuel," he said. "It's powered by purpose." The Council burst into laughter again, but this time it was nervous. They had called humans emotional, impulsive, even irrational. But now they were unsure, because nothing made sense about this ship. Outside, the explicable rotated slowly, as if it were listening. Every scanner in the galaxy had failed to map it. It seemed to change shape when you looked too long, like it wasn't built in space, but dreamed into existence. Flashback to Earth 7. Years ago, a secret facility deep in the Antarctic, where silence was law. Dozens of the best minds from all over Earth gathered in a single underground room. They were told one thing: build something that explains what happens when peace is broken. And so they built a ship that didn't just fight, it spoke. It recorded every lie told in negotiations, every treaty broken, every life lost. It created countermeasures not from blueprints, but from memory and meaning. No buttons, no cockpit, no human pilot, not even Rourke, back in the courtroom. The Chancellor slammed his crystal gavel. "This is madness," he said. "No ship operates without a pilot or a control system." Rourke's eyes narrowed. "You still think it's a ship," he said. "It's not." General Kaner bared his fangs. "Then what is it, human?" He growled. Rourke answered, "It's a messenger." Outside, the red glow at the front of the explicable began pulsing again. The message repeated in all Council languages. Purpose activated, explanation pending. Ships in orbit turned there. Shields on without waiting for orders. Fighters scrambled. Alarms rang through battle stations. But the explicable didn't move toward them. It simply opened a small hatch near its center and projected a hologram. Everyone in the courtroom turned to see. The hologram showed a planet burned, lifeless, covered in ashes. It was a human colony that no one had heard of, erased by a pirate fleet that had once been funded by some Council members. The explicable had logged everything, and now it was showing the galaxy the truth. The Chancellor's voice trembled. This was never reported," he said, "because no one wanted to listen." Rourke replied, "We asked for help, we followed the rules." He pointed to the image of the dead colony. "And that's what your rules gave us." The Council began to shift in their seats. Some looked guilty, some shocked, some just afraid. The ship had become their judge, not by choice, but by their silence. The hologram vanished, and the red glow disappeared. The explicable went quiet again, but now no one doubted it anymore. It shouldn't exist, and yet it was the most real thing in the galaxy right now. Rourke turned to leave, but the Chancellor called out. "Wait," he said. "What is the next explanation, Marine?" Rourke stopped, looking over his shoulder. "That depends," he said, "on who listens and who laughs." The courtroom remained still. Outside, the impossible ship waited, silent, unreadable, watching. And the galaxy began to realize the worst weapon of humanity wasn't fire or steel, it was the truth, and the ship that carried it. The meeting room of the Galactic Council had never been so quiet. Aliens who once laughed now whispered behind trembling lips. But not all were afraid. Some still believed the human was bluffing. That his ship was a trick, a show, nothing more. High. Marshal Drek of the Varn Dominion stood tall, covered in chrome armor. He was leader of the Dominion fleet known across 10 sectors as the most advanced military force in the galaxy. His voice echoed across the chamber, loud and sharp. Enough of this drama, he said. The ship is strange, yes, but power is nothing without discipline. Rourke stood calmly, hands behind his back. He watched the alien commander with cold eyes, saying nothing. The marshal stepped forward, pointing a sharp claw at the human. Humans cry when rules break, he said, but refused to follow. The ones already written. He turned to the crowd of leaders and diplomats. This entire hearing is a waste of time, he roared. Let me challenge their ship with one of ours. No words. No trials, just action. Many council members clapped. Others nodded. They were tired of fear, tired of mystery. They wanted to prove humanity wrong. And the marshal offered a way out through fire and pride. Rourke finally spoke, his voice steady. You want to fight, he said. But the explicable doesn't fight, it teaches. The marshal sneered. Then let it teach my warship a lesson, he growled. Let us test this message you keep speaking of. Inside the courtroom, a giant screen activated, showing the orbital view. 2 ships floated in space above the council chamber. One was Marshal Drek's personal flagship, the Spire of Glory, a massive gold-plated vessel with rotating plasma rings and thunder engines. The other was the explicable black, still, quiet, no visible weapons, no visible crew. Begin the simulation, the Chancellor ordered, trying to keep the process legal. This is not an attack, only a test, he said. We observe, we record, we learn. Across the galaxy, news feeds tuned in, billions of beings watched the screen, waiting to see the mighty Dominion fleet put the human myth to rest. Reporters called it the battle of logic versus madness. Gamblers placed bets, most favoring the marshal ship. After all, how could a silent, invisible craft defeat the most advanced warship in the quadrant? Inside the Spire of Glory, Drek sat in the command throne, surrounded by glowing control panels. Target the black shell, he said. Lock weapons, but do not fire unless provoked. AI crew members confirmed, and targeting lasers lit the hull of the explicable. Still, it did not react. No shields activated. No thrusters flared, no noise, no light. Run combat simulation, Drek commanded. His ship released hundreds of drone fighters, flying in complex patterns around the explicable. They fired blank shots like pulses designed to simulate real combat. In normal tests, the target ship would activate defenses, retreat, or dodge. The explicable didn't move. Inside the courtroom, council members whispered, some looking bored. This is what we feared? Someone muttered, a child's toy, another said. Then the screen flickered. The explicable released a single wave of light, invisible to most sensors. Suddenly, every drone in the simulation dropped, spinning out of control, as if gravity reversed. They crashed into one another and exploded into data fragments. The Dominion ship's weapon systems went dark for 6 full seconds. No one had seen it fire. No one understood what happened. Drek cursed and slammed his fist on the control panel. Reset the systems now, he shouted. But before the crew could respond, the explicable projected a new image across all systems. It was Drek's own war crimes, pulled from secret archives, hidden attacks, broken peace deals, lies told to weaker species, everything displayed. With timestamps and video logs the entire galaxy was watching. The courtroom gasped. Council members stood in shock. Drek's face turned pale under his armor. You can't prove those are real, he shouted, but Rourke only said one thing. The explicable doesn't lie. One by one, alien leaders began to understand. This ship was more than a weapon. It was a mirror, showing truths others wanted to bury. It didn't just destroy, it exposed. Drek turned to the Chancellor, his voice trembling now. This human tech is a danger to all, he said. It breaks into systems, spies on secrets. You call it danger, Rourke said. Stepping forward, we call it memory. Your rules were made to protect power, not people, he said. So we built something to protect truth. The Chancellor looked back at the screen, then at the Marshal. The simulation is complete, he declared. And the lesson is clear, outside. The explicable rotated once more and returned to its silent state. The test was over, but no one clapped, no one laughed. Instead, they stared at the black ship and the human beside it. The galaxy had mocked humanity's warnings. Now the galaxy had been mocked in return by a ship that didn't shout or shoot, just explained. It was the first time in recorded history that every species in the Council fell silent at once. No alarms, no arguments, no war chants, just quiet. Then came a sound no one expected, not from the human, not from his ship, but from the space itself. A voice. It was deep, calm, and without emotion. Every translator in the room began shaking, lights blinking as they struggled to understand. Then the voice became clear. This message is not a threat. It is a reminder. You were warned. The sound came from the explicable, but no speakers were visible. It echoed through minds, through metal, through gravity itself. Some aliens screamed and covered their ears. Others froze like statues. The voice spoke not to the ears, but to the memory. Sergeant Rourke looked up, not surprised, not afraid. He had heard that voice only once before, when the ship was born. To him, it wasn't terrifying. To him, it was the sound of justice waking up. The Chancellor stood slowly, hands shaking. Is that ... your ship? He asked. Is it alive? Rourke nodded once. Not alive, he said, but aware. The holographic screens inside the council chamber lit up again, this time showing past meetings, secret decisions, backroom deals. Alien leaders gasped as they saw themselves exposed, betraying alliances, ordering silent invasions, laughing at peace treaties. The explicable had recorded everything, even without being there. It pulled data from the fabric of space, bending time and signals. It remembered things people tried to forget. Impossible, one council member whispered. This is blackmail. No, Rourke said. It's history. On the screen, an alien ambassador could be seen laughing. He had once convinced the council to ignore a human distress call from a mining colony. Hours later, that colony was attacked and destroyed by raiders. Over 10,000 civilians died, families, workers, children, all gone. That ambassador now covered his face in shame. This can't be public, he muttered. This will tear the council apart. The explicable spoke again. Your silence did that. Outside, the ship began to glow, not with light, but with memory. Its hull showed moving images of destroyed worlds, broken promises, and forgotten names. Every piece of metal on that ship carried a story. Every panel was a grave. You call us dangerous, Rourke said, his voice rising. But it was your rules that let murderers walk free. We followed the law, and the law let our people die. A small alien leader, old and frail, stood with great effort. His eyes were wet, and his voice was heavy with regret. What do you want from us? He asked. Punishment? War? Rourke shook his head. No, he said, just honesty. The voice of the ship spoke once more. This is not war. This is education. A new hologram appeared this time, of a peaceful treaty written by humans and a now extinct alien race. That treaty had been ignored by the council, and the alien race was wiped out by pirates shortly after. The explicable didn't forget, and now, neither could the galaxy. Suddenly, something unexpected happened. The ship opened, just slightly, revealing a small sphere of light at its center. It hovered slowly into the courtroom, not aggressive, not scanning, just existing. The sphere floated over to a young alien diplomat, barely out of academy training. It pulsed gently, then settled into his hands. What is this? He asked, afraid to move. Rourke answered, a lesson. Inside the orb, The young alien saw every lie he had been taught about humanity. He saw images of human farmers building homes on broken planets. He saw human doctors healing alien children. He saw human soldiers dying to protect peace, even when the galaxy turned its back. Tears ran down the diplomat's face. "I didn't know," he whispered. I thought you were monsters." "No," Rourke said. "We just stopped pretending." The Chancellor turned to the rest of the council. "What do we do now?" he asked, not with power, but with fear. "We can't undo what's been done." "No," Rourke said, "but you can stop doing it." The ship spoke one last time. "This is the final reminder. Next time, there will be no courtroom." With that, the holograms vanished. The sphere returned to the ship, and the glow faded. The explicable became silent again, like a tomb in the stars. But everyone inside that chamber knew they would never forget that voice. It was not a weapon, not a threat, not even a warning. It was the truth. And the truth had finally found its voice. They told him to power down the ship, so he pointed at a moon. It was supposed to be a show of strength from the council. They were trying to take control again, trying to look brave after the voice of the explicable had shaken them to their bones. But fear does not disappear just because someone gives a speech. Fear stays like a shadow that will not leave. "We demand that the ship be powered down," the Chancellor said, standing tall in the center of the council floor. "All systems must be shut off, scanned and seized for security." Rourke didn't answer. He simply stared at the moon orbiting close to the courtroom station. It was dead, empty, and forgotten. No colonies, no life, just a rock. And yet, in a moment, it would be remembered forever. A fleet of council security ships formed. A wall around the explicable. Dozens of laser cannons locked on its surface. Shields humming, ready for anything. The room tensed as alien leaders held their breath, waiting for the human to obey or resist. "Sergeant Rourke," said a warrior judge from the Kelmeri tribes, "you will comply now or face destruction." Finally, Rourke moved. He walked toward the center of the council platform, eyes never leaving the stars. Then, he lifted a small device from his belt, round, flat, glowing softly blue. He tapped. At once, outside, the explicable lit up for the second time. A low hum rolled across the station, deeper than thunder. The hull of the ship pulsed with light, not sharp, not bright, but heavy, like something ancient was breathing beneath it. "No," Rourke said calmly, "you don't get to scan the explicable. You get to witness it." The ship turned slightly, slowly, until its nose pointed toward the empty moon. No one gave orders, no one fired weapons, they just watched, paralyzed by the unknown. Then came the flash. It was not loud. It was not violent. It was not even fast. Just a silent beam of pale white light, thin, straight, beautiful. It touched the moon for only a second. Then the moon cracked. A jagged line cut through its center like a knife slicing fruit. Another second passed, and the moon crumbled dust, stone, and silence, vanishing into the void. There was no explosion, no debris, no energy wave, just absence, as if the moon had been edited out of reality. Inside the courtroom, panic broke loose. Some aliens ran, others shouted, many fainted. Even the strongest warlords took a step back. The Chancellor dropped to his seat, eyes wide, voice dry. What kind of weapon does that?" he whispered. Rourke's voice came quiet, but full of fire. "One that follows a very old human rule," he said. "Speak softly, but carry something that erases moons." One of the generals screamed, "That could have been us." Rourke looked at him, calm as ever. "It still can." The explicable returned to its silent state, but it had spoken in its own language, power, pure and absolute, not to kill, but to explain. It hadn't destroyed a city or a ship or a planet. It had chosen something empty, a warning without a body count. An alien scientist stepped forward, voice shaking. "There was no energy buildup," she said. "No weapon signature. No thermal trace. That shouldn't be possible. Most of your science is based on what can be measured, Rourke said. "Our ship works on what should never need to be." The Komari judge dropped his staff. He spoke through clenched teeth. "If humans had this power all along, why haven't you used it on us before?" Rourke turned to him, his eyes sharper than ever. "Because we hoped you'd never make us." The room grew still again, like after a storm. No one dared question the human now, not after the flash, not after the moon. The council had seen ships with weapons, bombs, gravity warps, sun-eaters, but never this. A ship that didn't fight, but removed, without anger, without sound, just gone. "You think this is the end," Rourke said, walking past the council seats. "But this is just the beginning. The galaxy needs new rules, not for war, but for truth." He pointed to the sky. "That ship was built not for conquest, but for balance. It's not your enemy," he said, "unless you choose to be." The Chancellor stood again, this time slower, more humble. His voice cracked as he spoke. "What are we supposed to do?" he asked. Rourke looked him in the eyes and answered, "Change." Outside in the cold dark of space, the explicable stood still once more, a shadow of justice, a reminder of pain. And somewhere deep inside, its core pulsed not with rage, but with memory, because it didn't erase the moon to threaten. It erased the moon to be understood. The moon was gone, but the message remained, not written in ink, not spoken in words carved in silence and fear. And yet, the most important part of the story had not been told, not by Rourke, but by the fire that came before. The council called an emergency meeting hours after the explicable erased the moon. The chamber was dim now, many seats empty, leaders too afraid to return. But those who stayed wanted answers, not about the ship, but about why it had been made at all. "Chancellor." Varix turned to Rourke, his voice lower now, less proud. "Tell us," he said, "what happened before this ship existed? What drove humanity to build something so dangerous? What rule did we break?" Rourke stood in the center of the room, alone. He tapped the blue disc on his belt again, and the screens lit up. This time, they didn't show destruction. They showed hope, then betrayal. A peaceful human colony called Harmony's Reach. On the edge of neutral space, families, scientists, builders, children, all working together to grow food, build schools, plant forests. They followed every galactic law, paid every fee, signed every treaty. They believed in peace, truly believed. Then came the raid, not by pirates, but by a mercenary fleet, secretly hired by a trade syndicate from one of the council worlds. Their reason? Minerals. Their excuse? A border mistake. Ships rained fire down on Harmony's Reach. The humans called for help, sent messages, used official beacons. But the council, wrapped in meetings and red tape, responded too late on purpose. By the time help arrived, the colony was ash, 70,000 souls gone. The screen showed blackened buildings, broken farms, and burned-out shelters. It zoomed in on a small doll half melted in the dirt. A child's toy, never played with again. The courtroom was quiet. A few council members lowered their heads, ashamed. Others looked at the floor, avoiding the human's eyes. "You told us we were too emotional," Rourke said softly. "You told us war was not the answer. And we listened. We followed your laws, your rules, your peace." He pointed at the screen again. "This is what we got for trusting you." The Chancellor's voice cracked. "We didn't know," he started. Rourke cut him off. "You didn't want to know." Another screen appeared. This time, blueprints, not of a ship but of a promise. The beginning design of the explicable, born not in hate but in heartbreak. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a tombstone made of steel and memory. Each part of its hull was made from wreckage taken from Harmony's Reach. Its engines were silent to honor the screams that were never answered. Its eye was trained using voices of the dead, pulled from old messages, journals, and home recordings. "It doesn't follow orders," Rourke said. "It follows truth. And when that truth is broken, it reminds the galaxy of what it cost us." A quiet voice came from the side one of the Younger alien diplomats. He stood, his hands trembling. I was told the humans overreacted, he said. I was told Harmony's Reach was a rebel outpost. Rourke's eyes burned. That's what you were taught, he said. Because lies are easier to manage than justice, the explicable turned. Slightly outside the glass wall, not aiming, not threatening, just watching. Its red core glowed slowly, like a heartbeat under armor. It didn't want revenge, it wanted the rules to change. Rourke walked to the council platform and placed something small in front of them. A burned-out ID badge from a teacher at Harmony's Reach. On it was a smiling photo, next to the words, "We teach peace, not war." This was my sister. Rourke said, voice steady, "She believed in your council more than I ever did. She died with her students while still holding the hope that you'd come." The badge shimmered in the light, and no one dared to touch it. The Chancellor stood slowly, voice weak. "What would you have us do?" He asked, "What rule must we follow now?" Rourke turned to face them all. "The rule of fire," he said. A hush fell over the room. "That's what the explicable was made for," Rourke continued. "If peace is ignored, if truth is buried, if justice is denied, then fire becomes." "The teacher, you have the chance to rewrite your rules," he said, "to make them mean something. If you don't, the explicable will remind you again." A council member asked in a whisper, "How many explainers do you have?" Rourke smiled. "Just barely, only one," he said. "Because we only needed one for now." The chamber stayed silent long after Rourke left. And outside, the explicable drifted through space like a scar on the stars, not hungry for war, but ready to speak with fire again, if silence returned. Because when words fail, flames remember. The ship didn't move. It didn't need to anymore by now. Everyone had heard of the explicable, even in the outer rings, even in the shadows of dying suns. The name was spoken in whispers, not as a threat, but as a lesson, a quiet reminder that truth, once buried, can rise in the shape of something black and silent and unforgettable. The Galactic Council chamber was still full, but no longer filled with noise. There was no shouting, no laughter, no mocking of Earth's rules. Every leader sat with their hands folded, eyes focused, and hearts heavy. They had all seen too much. To stay proud, Sergeant Rourke stood at the center one last time. This time without chains, without guards, without fear. He was not a prisoner, not a threat. He was the man who had changed everything by letting the truth speak for itself. The Chancellor cleared his throat softly. "The Council has made its decision," he said, voice steady. "There will be no punishment, no dismantling, no weapons pointed at the explicable. Instead, we offer something else in agreement." He looked at Rourke, and then raised a glowing crystal plate for all to see. "This," he said, "is the new peace accord." Every species had signed it, from the proud warriors of the Iron Clans to the gentle thinkers of the Valen Gardens. It stated clearly, no more hidden wars, no more denied cries for help. No more rules that protect only the powerful. And for the first time, Earth's laws were included. Human ideas of honor, protection, and response time were added to the Galactic Code. Some called it the Explicable Treaty, others called it the Fire Code, but most just called it what it truly was. The moment the galaxy finally listened, the Chancellor bowed slightly to Rourke. "Earth is now offered a permanent seat at this council," he said. "And the explicable will never be touched." Rourke nodded, but said nothing. He simply stepped aside and tapped the blue disc on his belt one last time. Outside the chamber, the explicable turned, not toward a target, not toward a threat, but toward open space. Its red glow faded gently into blue, its hull softening as if exhaling for the first time. It seemed at peace in its memory core. The names of Harmony's Reach remained, not as code, not as mission orders, but as voices singing softly in the dark. They had been heard finally, and the ship no longer needed to shout. A young alien girl from the Moon Silk system stepped forward from the viewing seats. She raised her hand and asked quietly, Is the EXPLAINER ... watching us now? Rourke smiled. For real this time. It's always watching, he said. But only those who stop listening should be afraid. The Chancellor looked around the room. To make sure this peace lasts, he said, we ask the humans to guide us, to remind us when we forget. Rourke looked at the stars through the tall glass wall. He thought of his sister, the children, the farmers, the scientists at Harmony's Reach. He thought of the days when humanity was laughed at, mocked and ignored, and now those days were over. A final message came from the explicable, this time calm and soft. Balance achieved. Truth recorded. Standing down. And just like that, the ship began to leave, slowly drifting away, not fast, not loud. A shadow returning to the stars, leaving behind silence and change. The council watched in awe, one by one. They stood not in fear, but in respect. They had seen destruction, yes, but they had also seen restraint, discipline, and mercy. That day was recorded in every galactic language. The news spread faster than light. The day the galaxy learned. They built statues of Rourke, not as a soldier, but as a speaker. And small models of the explicable appeared in classrooms, labeled not as warships but as guardians of truth. Even children began learning Earth's old saying, taught by teachers across the stars. When words are ignored, fire explains. But for now there was no fire, only silence and hope. The explicable vanished beyond the edge of the sector, and somewhere, deep inside its core, it whispered to itself, may I never need to return. But if the galaxy forgot again, it would.